We've got Lauren Gieseking with us, and we're going to be interviewing her about her semester at sea. Could you give us just kind of a brief description of what you were doing out there?
So Semester at Sea is a 3.5-month program where we take classes at sea. And my voyage, we went through Asia, hit India, and then up Africa, and we ended in Europe. And while at sea, we took college-level classes. So we had professors everywhere from Yale. We had my Vietnam War professor was actually a Harvard professor at the time of the Vietnam War. So we had these really cool staff members teaching their subjects and really imparting their knowledge and their experiences throughout the world with students as we youngins got to go around and really witness the world, for most of us, for a lot of us, for the first time.
And you mentioned you had like a Vietnam War class. Were they all similarly focused on an area that you were going to go through or near? Or?
So we had one class that was called Global Studies that the whole ship was a part of. And that prepared us for the next port. So that gave us the cultural, the historical, the social background of where we were going, which was very cool to be able to walk in and say, oh, I saw this temple in class, we read about it here, and this is what it means. Because it gave us a lot of context and made us really appreciate where we were. But we had students who were hotel and business management, different things like that. So they had their own specific business classes or econ classes. So there was even a dance class on the ship. So everyone, regardless of their major, could actually take part in it. So I want to make sure that no matter what area of study, they could get students from all over to experience this. On the ship, every time we would take a break from classes, like all of our weekends, we'd be in a new country. And so now it's like our weekends here, it's, okay, what are you going to do? Like, we're going to go to Walmart, we're going to hang out. But at the same time, it's great to have routine. That's one thing that I really missed, was the routine of it all, because we would have lethargic days on the ship where you'd sleep all the time. We had external hard drives that we would pass around all the time. So everyone had like all the seasons of Game of Thrones and all the Disney movies, and we'd just watch movie after movie on the ship. And then we'd get into country and it'd be 20-hour days, constantly just go, go, go. So there was never just that normal routine. So being back in Kirk, I'm like, okay, like I know what I'm doing on Mondays and not A days or B days or in country.
So how did you get into photography?
So I got into photography when I was actually started to shoot my brother's basketball games when I was younger. And my mom would just hand me the camera at first. I would kind of like moan. But then when I really took it as a challenge to get him the best shot and to see his face light up, and I realized that could be applied to nature, it could be applied to places I go and people and unique experiences, that really latched on. So my uncle sadly passed away a few years ago, but he was an amazing photographer. And my aunt knew that we both shared this passion. So she graciously made one of his cameras available to me. And so I actually took a picture of him around the world with me as I was able to take his camera and his memory on this trip of a lifetime. Because I know that if he was here, that we'd be comparing photos and he'd be asking me what setting I had it on and critiquing my work along the way. So it was just a very unique experience to be able to kind of share his legacy almost with my journey as I traveled around. When we were in China and Japan, it definitely had that Asian culture, but when we were in 3 countries in Africa, so from South Africa to Ghana to Morocco. And in South Africa, you learn about the apartheid. It kind of felt like a Southern California vibe too. It had big malls, it was really pretty. You went to Ghana, it had that traditional tribal African vibe. I went to Morocco and it was an Islamic country and it was just phenomenal. I was sitting in the massive plaza they have there, listening to the call of prayer, staring at the market, and it was just incredible to be in a country that I've never really never really witnessed before. So it was a completely different experience for me there.
I know I've heard at least from many people that are world travelers that they feel like they were changed by their experience. Do you feel that way? And if so, what's changed?
So because I'm a history and sociology double major, it's one thing to read and to study these places out of a textbook, to watch videos, but to set foot in these cultures that have such different values and family systems and governments and dynamics than yours, that's when it hit home to me. Because I came back to the United States and my mom asked me a question and I was able to reflect upon my stance before the trip and then after the trip. And especially it hit me with American poverty was one of the biggest things. And just realizing that while we still have a lot of work to do here, the sheer resources that are available compared to the children selling me magnets at the Taj Mahal in India. And our guide said, like, if you have a little bit of extra, like, you can give them, but just know that they're most likely part of a bigger organization, sends these kids out and provides shelter for them. But it's just they're street kids. And so to see that these kids weren't in school, it was midday on a Wednesday, and you just think like, shouldn't you be in the classroom learning? And they weren't. And it was just kind of eye-opening for me.
Did you change at all in your perception of just people as a whole, now that you've seen people in so many different contexts, so many different religions, communities?
I definitely have a more individualistic base. Before it was just people as a whole are this, but now it's you really have to learn the background and the story of the people. And so that's the main thing that my journey is like, I want to know their story and what made them who they are today. And so it's definitely made me give people second and third chances and kind of like let them open up to me and get to know me more, because that is really like you don't know a person's story until then.
I got proposed to in Ghana. They said that was very common though, and that it was very interesting. He was like, I'll marry you, I'll show you my village. I said, I'm okay, I'm gonna stay here. It was his village, he was chief. I said, I respectfully decline.
Is there anything else you would want to tell people, someone you met or something you did that you just want to share?
A really cool semester at sea tradition is when we cross the equator for the first time on a naval ship. It is, you have this ceremony where you go from polywogs to shellback. It's like your rite of passage. This dates back hundreds of years. And so most of the time in the Navy, the sailors would shave their heads. Well, on the ship, most of the men shave their heads, and I actually shaved the back of my head. And so it was this whole big crazy day where you had you got dumped like with green goo, you jumped across the pool, you got out, you kissed King Poseidon's ring, which was actually our captain dressed up, and then it was just a day of festivities to kind of say like, we've made this voyage. So now like my hair's going back like that. It's in a really weird layer, but my roommate and I both did it, and just kind of like, we'll check in every once in a while because she's in California. So it's like, hey, how's the hair coming along?
So what's your next stop then? Going out to meet more people, where do you want to be when you do that?
Hopefully for spring break, might be going to Iceland.
Oh.
And then after that, hopefully Germany. I've been to 21 countries so far, hit 24 hours after my 21st birthday. And so we're going to continue at least one per year for as long as I can. Because I think that the more countries I see, the more countries I experience, the more I learn, and the more as a future teacher I can impart to my students, and the more values for my future family and just for me as a person I can really take away and learn at every step. So.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.